the baby's heartbeat started to drop. It now became an emergency C-section. It got so bad that I was ready to just go there and be like, guys, I quit. A month into the pregnancy, I entered morning sickness, like the thick of it. I was home alone. My husband was away at a story workshop, and I was practically living in the bathroom, on the floor of the bathroom. That was my house. Like, it was so bad that I couldn't even keep, like, they will tell you, oh, you can eat crackers or bland stuff, ginger. Man, nothing stayed down. Even Coke, my best friend Coke betrayed me. It got so bad that I couldn't even, like, I was like, if I could find the strength to walk to the hospital that was 2 doors away, 2 houses away, I was ready to just go there and be like, guys, I quit. I feel like I don't want to do this pregnancy thing anymore. But, well, I didn't have the strength, so we don't know if I would have been able to follow through if I had gotten to the hospital. First trimester ended and morning sickness was gone and I was good again. I could eat. I would get nauseous at like some things, but for the most part, I was good. I gained some extra weight, but I never got back to my original pre-pregnancy weight. Everything was going smooth. I was taking my vitamins, walking, drinking water, and then sometime in I think 24 weeks, 25 weeks, we had gone to the beach, my husband and I, with some friends to turn up. And then my tummy started to ache, and it was one of those really far beaches that were like on the outskirts of town. So it was like about an hour 45 minutes from my house. And then, so on our way back, I was just in pain all through, and then Jason was just driving like a crazy person, like, we need to get to the hospital. I was like, maybe we can stop at the roadside, because I was like, no, we need to go there, they have all your history, blah, blah, blah. Then we got to the hospital at exactly midnight, actually. And then they say they think it's kidney stones, but they can't give me any pain meds. They can only just keep me at the hospital to observe. And I was like, so I'm going to be in pain, and I can also just still be at home, but you want me to stay here and I'll pay you for keeping me here with no medication. Did that. The next day, had an ultrasound scan, and they confirmed kidney stones, and they were like, oh, just drink lots of water, it'll help. The thing is, people don't tell you what happens during pregnancy, all these small things. There was the bloating, I got some mood swings, which was weird. I'd never heard anybody talk about mood swings. Kidney stones passed, and seemingly good again. Then one time I went for like the routine ultrasound checkup to measure the baby's growth, and then there was like, oh, the amniotic fluid is low, and the baby's head or torso is not measuring as well as it should be. So she was measuring lower than she was supposed to be, and I was like, what's going on here? So the doctor was like, oh, so we need to just monitor it. Then I went to my friend Google. I was like, here's my problem. Then I saw some recommendations for the amniotic fluid, like, oh, drink lots of fluid, just keep taking fluids. For the other one, I read about drinking milk and eating like more protein source, like milk, eggs, some other stuff I ate, but then lots of water. Me, I can go 4 days without drinking water. But you should see me now. I had 1 2-liter bottle that I was lugging everywhere because, well, we needed to get the amniotic fluid up. So I drank water. Then like 4 days later, they were like, oh, let's just check again. And the amniotic fluid was up. Even the measurements had come up, but it was still low. So we still had to keep watching that. But then by like 2 weeks after, the next antenatal meeting with the doctor. The torso length had adjusted, was now the right size. Yay. Then I think everything else went well up until like 2 weeks before my estimated delivery dates. So I'm O negative, so Rhesus negative. So usually I had read that you would need to take a ROGAM shot so that your system would not fight, antibodies will not fight the babies, like will not see it as an intruder. So I mentioned to the doctor earlier on in the pregnancy, and he was like, oh, since this is your first pregnancy, it shouldn't be a big deal, that the antibodies only come, like they only grow or whatever after your first baby. What he forgot to factor in was that before then, I had like multiple miscarriages that would have counted as prior pregnancies, which he didn't know about, but then for some reason he thought it didn't matter. I traveled to America to have my child. Obviously with the kind of doctor that would not give me ROGAM shots. Anyway, so when I got there and they were like, oh, did you get your ROGAM shot? And I was like, oh no, I didn't. My doctor said, it's like, no, you should have. I was already 34 weeks at this time. So they immediately gave me a ROGAM injection. From here, my doctor here, we had agreed that it was going to be like a normal birth because there were no major complications. So like I was healthy, baby was healthy, everything was going well. But then when I got to America, then they were like, oh, you might not have a normal birth. So I'd had a myomectomy, a surgery where they had gone into my uterus. The doctor says, since I can't say when, like I can't say what cuts the initial surgeon had made, that then they can't, they won't advise normal birth because pushing could rupture the uterus since they don't know where it was cut. I did try to reach the hospital in Nigeria. I did try to ask them what was cut, but there was no great record keeping, unfortunately, so they couldn't say. So I had to submit to a cesarean section. So there was a date to have this cesarean session. Then me, I was just like, okay, so this day I'll just go to the hospital. So it was exactly the day I was going to be like 40 weeks pregnant. So I was like, okay, we'll just go to the hospital in the morning and wait. That's what they had said. But then I was like, oh, some last minute shopping. After walking around the mall for like an hour, my water broke. And we called the hospital and like, oh, you need to come in immediately. And so we went to the hospital, but we got there like 8 p.m. Unfortunately, there had been like a car accident, but like multiple cars, and there was only one anesthesiologist on call. And so he couldn't leave to come anesthetize me, to come and give me injection. So I had to wait. And so I waited till morning, the next morning. And then when they were now prepping for the surgery, the baby's heartbeat started to drop. And it now became an emergency C-section. So like they needed to get in there quick. Even me, I felt like I was breathing weird. And then they just, next thing, before the actual surgeon could come, they had already done everything, they were ready. Then it was like maybe 3 minutes, and then they were like, oh, here's your baby. I was like, that quick. Like they were already bringing out the child. Then Jason, that had gone to change into scrubs, came in to just meet them bringing out the child. That was how fast it all went. Then I got stitches, moved me to a recovery room. So here I was in the white man's land, in the hospital room, recovery room. Now they had brought the baby in, and I was like, I didn't see my husband in hours. Where's this guy? Turns out he was just in the waiting area, and they had changed shift. The nurses had changed shifts, and they didn't know who his wife was or what room. And instead of him to just pester, he was just there sitting down like, I'm sure they'll come get me. And I did not see this man until 6 hours later. I was there thinking, did he run away and leave me with this child? But then he showed up, and he wasn't even like remorse or anything. He was like, hey, Best believe me, I gave it to I gave him my mind. I was like, you can't just have a child and go, I can't move to, but yeah, then we were in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 2 days. Like, everything went well. Oh, they didn't let me breastfeed my child because apparently all Africans have tuberculosis. So they had to check first to see if I had tuberculosis. But because of the waiting time for them to confirm, they had to put my child on formula. Enter Enfamil. Enfamil. Anyway, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Then my child didn't want to now take breast milk. In fact, she weaned herself at 3 months, and those 3 months was like maybe only 1 full month of actual breast milk, which she wouldn't even take directly. So I had to pump. We had manual pump, 2 manual pumps. We had the electric pumps. Then I had the rubber teats because she wouldn't like. I think maybe she just liked the rubber from the formula thing. I don't know. What's there. And then people would, how judgy Nigerians are, like, you did not let your child suck breast for up to 2 years. She's going to be sick all the time. She's going to be this. But anyway, we left the hospital, went back home. She was great, doing okay, eating, pooping, crying, sleeping, all that thing that babies do. And then they called us from the hospital, like maybe 2 days after we were gone back, and said, oh, we needed to come to the hospital. So there had been an appointment to come 6 days after we left the hospital, but then they called us come in sooner. Turns out that she was anemic, and from what they could deduce, it was from the Rhesus incompatibility. So since I didn't get the Rogam shot when I was supposed to at 26 weeks, I got it at 34. There was some small incompatibility issue, so she was anemic, and then we had to go to the hospital every 4 days. So they had to keep checking her blood thingies. So I thought that the Americans just cared for my child since she was one of them and wanted to just make sure she was okay. Each of those visits cost $850. They did not tell me. After the 3rd one, that's when I now got a bill. And they needed us to keep coming. We went like 6 times, and then we now got the bill. And then the Nigerian mother in me was like, I'm sure this girl would have been fine with just some agbo or ugu and milk or whatever it is that they used to give us as kids. But then she was okay, I guess. Her blood levels adjusted, she was fine. She got her shots, we got shots, and she got her vaccinations. And then we came back to Nigeria. And she's living happily ever after. 2 years and 2 months. She'll be 3 months on the 8th. What does she like? She loves moped babies. She loves yogurts, lollipop. She loves to make my life a living hell. But in all of this, I think I wouldn't have it any other way. I still advise people to not have kids, but I'm already there. Might as well embrace it. But it's not too late for you. If you've not had kids, don't do it. You can share my child with me. We'll take turns. I think that's it for my birthday.